Okay, I know I'm late to the party with the whole Ricochet thing. It's been like a week or two since this whole thing got spread out. Like he was on the podcast and just doing this whole rant on Twitter. And I know I've had the chance to try and sit down in my chair and try and speak about it, but I have mostly been busy. But now I'm no longer busy, so now I can finally speak my piece for how I feel about Ricochet talking about how WWE ruined his legacy, or quote unquote tarnished his legacy. Okay, let me say this. People who left WWE, like ex-WWE guys, shitting on the company is nothing new. I've heard it so many times. So many people have done it in the past, and of course, recently now. There are basically people who talk positively, like Tommaso Ciampa and Andrade, who spoke positive things before they left and went over to AEW. But of course, people constantly like bashing or saying hateful, meanful things about WWE or pretty much just any company they leave is nothing new in my eyes. When it comes to Ricochet, it just sounds like he's just a salty bitch and can't let it go. So he left WWE a year and a half ago, like in June of 2024, and right now it is February 2026. And currently, Ricochet in AEW is the current and first ever AEW National Champion. That's good for him, right? It should be a massive accomplishment. It should really solidify Ricochet in a top spot to make him seem like he is a big main player that people should care about. But realistically, has really anything changed at all for Ricochet? Like, he's got a character and all, but in terms of what he has done in WWE to now being in AEW, nothing really is different. Like, there's nothing actually like making me believe that he is in a different company and he's chasing after bigger gold. Like, I feel like he should be a guy that should be at the top of the division because that's what he said himself. He wanted to be world champion. And he said he left WWE because he didn't want to be in the same level of guys like Braun Breaker and Ilya Dragunovs. Here's the issue with those things I just said. One, he said he didn't want to be on the same level of Braun Breaker and Ilya Dragunov when they got called up from NXT to the main roster, yet both of those guys have won mid-card championships before Ricochet won a single title in AEW. Braun Breaker became a two-time Intercontinental Champion, and we don't even need to talk about what he's done since he lost those titles. Ilya Dragunov was gone for over a year, and the moment he came back, he instantly became United States Champion. And those two did all of that before Ricochet went to full gear in November 2025 to finally win a championship after doing nothing for a whole year. Yeah, that's right. I said it. For a whole year, he was constantly in programs that did nothing to elevate him. Yes, he had a match against Swerve Strickland at AEW Revolution last year for a shot at a world championship match, but he lost. And after that match, he fell dramatically down the card. And he was back to mid-card status like he was in WWE. But you know what's really actually pinpointed this whole conversation for me? Is the fact that he's gone online and just talked about guys like Finn Balor, Apollo Crews, and Shinsuke Nakamura saying that WWE tarnished their legacies when all three of those guys are constantly on television. Another one he also talked about was Sami Zayn saying El Generico's whole entire legacy was bigger than Sami Zayn's, which, no disrespect to El Generico, but Sami Zayn has far surpassed El Generico in every way in terms of everything that Sami Zayn has done in WWE. So, yeah, it's not even close. But if he wants to go online and just do his little rambling, first off, this whole internet trolling character thing, I'm not with it at all. I think it makes Ricochet look more like a clown to the point where it's like I remember him just constantly shitting on people at the IWC more than his matches and promos. Like he can actually cut good promos at all because even with the new characters, promos are still cringeworthy. But in terms of his matches, I mean, Ricochet is a great worker. So obviously I know that he can go out there and have great matches. It's just, again, with this constant just bitching and moaning, and any time he wants to just try and be petty about his time in WWE on the main roster, all I really think of are the matches that he had in WWE, especially on NXT, where he was booked like a god, and he was given the actual pure proper treatment to actually feel like a main player. Now on the main roster, yeah, I can understand it. A lot of people's runs just don't work. It doesn't go perfectly for them, but Ricochet just didn't have the tools to actually fully get over because he was mostly just a bland babyface that could do flips. Which, yeah, it could work for some people, but for Ricochet, with the fact that he mostly just went out there and got buried by a lot of people on the microphone, like Drew McIntyre with the whole shut up, and then went down NXT, and Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams shut down anything he said just by just saying a few words, it made it clear that Ricochet was never going to be at the extent of a world champion like many of the people were. Now, most of it can definitely come down to booking because him getting squashed by Brock Lesnar's Super Showdown 2020 did no justice for him at all in the slightest. But in terms of what he's done in AEW to what he did in WWE, it's just nothing different. He's still a mid-card guy. He's holding on to a championship that a lot of people don't care about, and a lot of people heavily criticized the moment it was first introduced by Tony Khan because, one, it's another mid-card title with the dozen amount of mid-card titles they have, and two, it's a championship that looks like the national title from NWA. And three, while this whole demand faction is nice and solid, I do think GOA and Ricochet are getting nice solid TV time. Most of the time, they're just mostly segments that people just skip, and they also kind of get forgotten compared to the other factions that are on the roster, like the Donkhouse family, which takes over TV time every single week. So they kind of get looked down on the afterburner unless that they're actually featured in things with Donkhouse family like they were for the past few weeks. Overall, I don't hate Ricochet. I just think that what he is saying online and all the things that he's done has really tarnished his legacy. I don't think WWE really hurt his. I think he's already ruined his own. I think he just constantly is just very salty about his WWE run, which again, I technically never see an issue for anyone who wants to go out there and just have their complaints for WWE because it's nothing new. But being how Ricochet is with a guy who mostly for an entire year won no belts, was in a faction that didn't really get him to a full high extent, but now has a championship and still can't get to that high tiered level, it's mostly just made himself look like a massive fool because he said that AEW brought back his fire, but the fire truly hasn't been seen at all since the moment he made his debut. Where his debut at All In 2024 was mostly forgettable because he debuted in a Casino Gauntlet match where there was a whole load of people that outshined him completely, like Nigel McGuinness, who made his return to wrestling in God knows how long. Honestly, I'm not saying his AEW run is a bust. I just think it's disappointing. I think he could definitely do a lot more, but from what he has done with his constant just shit talking to the fans and just not really having anything eye-popping or exciting every single week, I don't know, man. I feel like he just does a lot of this, does a lot of that, but can never really back it up. But that's all I gotta say, man.